Hello, family, and happy weekend. So, you're scrolling peacefully through your timeline. Your brain is finally getting a break from the chaos of the world. Maybe you're avoiding responsibilities. Maybe you're pretending you'll start fresh tomorrow like the rest of us do. And then a tweet appears. Not just any tweet, a tweet from Boris Johnson. And it says, "Come back, Harry and Meghan. All is forgiven." I'm sorry, I had to sit with that for a second. I had to let it wash over me. I had to process the sheer audacity. Because that sentence didn't just casually enter the conversation. It kicked the door open, rearranged all the furniture, helped itself to the fridge, and declared itself king of the entire room. All is forgiven. Like he's the headmaster of Britain, like he's been standing at the gates of Buckingham Palace with a clipboard this whole time, checking names, waiting patiently to stamp "forgiven" on their foreheads when they return. Sir, let's talk. All is forgiven. 3 words, 3 incredibly confident, wildly misplaced, supremely audacious words. Because in order for something to be forgiven, there has to be an offense first, right? There has to be wrongdoing. There has to be a moment where someone went, "Oh yeah, that crossed a line. That requires forgiveness." So let's investigate carefully. Let's be thorough and fair. What exactly did Prince Harry and Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, actually do that requires forgiveness from Boris Johnson or anyone else? Let's list it out meticulously, just in case we missed something major. They stepped back from royal duties, which they're allowed to do. They moved to another country, which millions of people do. They built a life that works for them and their family. They prioritize their mental health. They prioritize their children's well-being. That's it. That's the complete list. No crimes committed, no scandals that require absolution, no grand betrayal that needs to be forgiven by a former prime minister with a demonstrated flair for dramatic phrasing. They left a job. They moved. They built a new life. And somehow, in certain circles, in certain mindsets, that has been turned into the greatest offense since someone put milk in the bowl before cereal. Now here's where it gets even more fascinating, even more revealing about the mindset at play. Because Boris didn't just say something odd or questionable, he said it with authority, with the confidence of someone who genuinely, sincerely believes they are in a position to grant forgiveness. And I need to know, who appointed you to this position, Boris? Was there a ceremony we missed, a secret meeting? Did someone hand you a ceremonial forgiveness gavel and a sash that says, "Official Royal Family Spokesperson"? Because the last time I checked, forgiveness is usually something requested by the person who caused harm, not randomly issued like grocery store coupons by uninvolved third parties. You don't just walk into someone else's life situation and go, "Good news, everyone, I've forgiven you." For what? For existing? For thriving? For leaving a situation that didn't serve you? For prioritizing your mental health and family? It's like showing up uninvited to someone's party, eating all their food, breaking a lamp, and then telling the host on your way out, "Don't worry, I forgive you for the inconvenience I caused." That's not how any of this works. Now, let's get into the backstory Boris provided, because this is where things go from absurd to absolutely theatrical. According to Boris Johnson's own account, back in 2020, he had what he describes as a manly conversation. A manly conversation. I want you to pause, stop everything, really visualize this moment. Because the phrase alone deserves deep analysis and possibly mockery. What exactly makes a manly conversation? Was there dramatic lying involved? A firm handshake that lasted too long? Did someone nod slowly while staring meaningfully into the distance? Was there a fireplace, leather chairs, brandy in crystal glasses? Apparently, Boris fixed Harry with what he calls a manly frankness and said, and I need you to prepare for this dialogue, "I say, Harry." I know, I need to stop again. "I say, Harry." This man really, genuinely thought he was about to solve a deeply personal, life-altering, mentally exhausting situation with dialogue that sounds like it belongs in a 19th century novel about British colonialism. Like he's Sherlock Holmes about to crack a case over tea. Meanwhile, let's remember what Harry was actually dealing with at that moment in 2020. Relentless, suffocating media scrutiny of every aspect of his life, vicious attacks on his wife that included racist undertones and outright racism, genuine concerns about physical safety for his family, mental health struggles that he's been open about, institutional failure to protect or support them, and Boris walks in like a character from a costume drama, going, "I say, Harry, old chap, have you considered simply staying and enduring all of this indefinitely?" Sir, this is not a debate at a tea party about whether to summer in the Cotswolds. This is someone's life, someone's family, someone's mental health and safety. The stakes are slightly higher than your manly conversation seems to acknowledge. Now, to his credit, and I'm being generous with the word credit here, Boris does admit something that's actually accurate. He says, and I quote, "I may have delivered Brexit, but I couldn't avert Megxit." And honestly, that's the only line in this entire situation that makes complete sense. Because yes, you couldn't. You absolutely could not avert it. And not because you didn't try hard enough or use the right manly tone or fix him with sufficient frankness, but because it was never, ever your decision to influence in the first place. You can't avert someone choosing peace over chaos. You can't convince someone to stay in an environment that's actively harming them and their family. That's not a policy issue that requires negotiation. That's not a diplomatic situation. That's a personal boundary, a human decision. And Harry said it, clearly, firmly, and permanently. Now let's talk about the massive elephant in the room that everyone conveniently dances around, the UK media, the tabloid ecosystem, the relentless coverage, because none of this situation exists without that crucial context. For years, Meghan was subjected to intense, unprecedented scrutiny that went far beyond normal coverage of public figures, and that's putting it extremely politely. Outlets like the Daily Mail didn't just report on her activities, they monitored her, analyzed her every move, criticized her every choice, turned everyday, completely normal actions into headline-worthy controversies. How she held her baby bump, what she ate for breakfast, which friends she kept, how she closed a car door, the color of her nail polish. And the British public was expected to just accept that as normal, to pretend this level of obsessive coverage had no impact, to act like it was fine. But here's the thing that can't be ignored. It did have an impact, a massive, documented, harmful impact. Because when you're constantly under attack, constantly scrutinized with bad faith, constantly misrepresented, at some point you reach a limit. And when you reach that limit, you make a choice, a survival choice. You leave. Now, here comes my absolute favorite part of this entire saga, the part that makes me laugh and rage simultaneously. The sudden admiration, the convenient recognition. Because now, years later, after Harry and Meghan have built successful independent lives, the narrative has mysteriously changed. Now it's, they're successful. They're thriving. Meghan's business ventures are impressive. Harry's doing important work. Oh, now we see it? Now we acknowledge it? Now we're willing to give credit? Where was this energy before? Where was this support when it actually mattered? Where was this recognition when they needed institutional backing? Because it's very, very easy to praise someone once they've already proven they don't need your approval or support. That's not growth. That's not magnanimity. That's hindsight pretending to be wisdom. It's like ignoring someone, doubting them, actively criticizing them, and then showing up years later when they've succeeded going, "I always believed in you. I always knew you'd make it." No, you didn't. We have receipts. Sit down. Now, let's address the actual invitation itself. Come back. Come back to what exactly, Boris? Be specific. Come back to the same media environment that drove them out? Come back to the same relentless scrutiny and manufactured controversies? Come back to the same institutional dysfunction and lack of support? Come back to the same narratives, the same attacks, the same system that pushed them away in the first place? Because if nothing fundamental has changed, if the media ecosystem is the same, if the institutional approach is the same, if the public discourse is the same, then this invitation is basically saying, come back and deal with everything you left because it was harming you, but this time we'll be slightly nicer about it. Maybe, possibly, no promises. That's not a compelling offer. That's not an olive branch. That's a rebranded version of the same problem with a prettier bow on top. There's also this underlying belief, this assumption baked into Boris's tweet and so much commentary, that Harry and Meghan owe something, that their return is expected, that it's a duty they're shirking. Let's be absolutely clear about reality. It's not. They don't. It isn't. They made a choice, a difficult, brave choice to leave a situation that wasn't working. They built a completely new life from scratch in a new country. They moved forward intentionally and deliberately, and they're allowed to do that. They're entitled to do that. They don't owe anyone a return tour. They're not a band on hiatus planning a reunion. They're not a TV show that got canceled and might come back. They're human beings who made a decision about their own lives. At this point, Boris Johnson represents more than just himself and his own opinions. He represents a broader mindset, a way of thinking that still hasn't fully processed or accepted what actually happened. A mindset that sees Harry and Meghan's departure as something temporary, something reversible, something that just needs the right words, the right appeal, the right conditions to fix. A mindset that believes if we just ask nicely enough, if we just acknowledge their success enough, if we just say all is forgiven with enough authority, they'll come back. But that's not reality. That's fantasy. That's wishful thinking disconnected from what actually happened and why. Reality is, they left. They meant it. They built something new. And they're not coming back just because someone tweeted politely or had a manly conversation. So here we are looking at this tweet with fresh eyes. One tweet, one single tweet, and somehow it managed to contain in just a few words misplaced authority, acting like he has the power to forgive on behalf of whom exactly, selective memory, forgetting why they left and what they endured, a heavy sprinkle of nostalgia, romanticizing a situation that was actively harmful, and a whole lot of audacity, the sheer confidence to issue a public invitation as if it's wanted or needed. Come back. All is forgiven. Like he's the headmaster of Britain, magnanimously handing out second chances to students who never asked to be in his office in the first place, who actually transferred to a better school and are thriving there. Meanwhile, in actual reality outside of Boris's tweet, Harry and Meghan are living their lives, genuinely living them, thriving in ways that are visible and documented, growing personally and professionally, building something meaningful on their own terms without institutional constraints, raising their children, Archie and Lilibet, in an environment they chose, not waiting for approval, not asking for permission, not needing validation from people who didn't support them when it mattered. And that's the part that really, truly matters most. Because when you've already chosen freedom over constraint, when you've already walked away from something that wasn't serving you, that was actively harming you, when you've already built something new and better, you don't turn around and go back just because someone finally decided to act like they support you. You don't return to dysfunction just because someone says all is forgiven for offenses you never committed. You keep going forward. You keep building. You keep choosing yourself and your family. And that's exactly what Harry and Meghan are doing. They're not looking back at tweets from former prime ministers wondering if they should reconsider. They're looking forward at the life they're actively creating. This tweet is part of a broader pattern we keep seeing. People who contributed to the problem, either actively or through silence, now trying to position themselves as part of the solution. People who didn't defend them when it mattered, now offering invitations to return. People who benefit from the drama, now acting like peacemakers. It's transparent, it's predictable, and it's not compelling. Because real support, real allyship, real change requires more than a tweet. It requires actual transformation of the systems and attitudes that created the problem in the first place. So to Boris Johnson and anyone else thinking about issuing similar invitations, Harry and Meghan don't need your forgiveness. They didn't do anything wrong. They don't need your permission to live their lives. They already took it. They don't need your approval of their choices. They're thriving without it. What they needed was support when they were struggling, protection when they were being attacked, institutional backing when they asked for help. That ship sailed. It's gone. It's not coming back. And neither are they, at least not on terms dictated by people who weren't there when it mattered. So there you have it. Boris Johnson's tweet, fully analyzed and thoroughly roasted. Come back, Harry and Meghan. All is forgiven. Translation, we've noticed you're succeeding without us and would like you to come back so we can take some credit. Hard pass, Boris. Hard pass. They're good where they are. They're better than good. They're thriving, and no amount of manly conversations or presumptuous tweets is going to change that. Thanks for watching, family. If you enjoyed this breakdown of audacity, smash that like button and subscribe for more. Until next time, stay unbothered, stay thriving, and never go back to what didn't serve you. I'll see you in the next one.